Welcome, parents and guardians, to this Excel for Beginners course designed specifically for the Parent Academy. My name is Ronaldo Crespo, and I will be facilitating today's training, and I'm part of the data and assessment team. So we are super excited to collaborate with the Parent Academy. So we were asked to design an Excel course for our parents and guardians, and we were happy to take on the challenge. So let me go ahead and show my data set, because the way we're going to do this training is we're going to show you a data set and allow you time to pause the recording or pause the video for you to then either copy this on your own Excel sheet and practice what we're showing you. Okay, so this first part right here is the budget piece. Okay, so we're going to talk about a budget and grades for today's training. So two things that are very helpful and we can use every day or throughout the year for ourselves and for our students. And so because this is a beginning course, we're going to talk about some of the basics, some of the different features. And again, you can pause anytime and let's get started. So we're going to start off on a budget. So when I opened up this particular file, this file was called a workbook. Okay, so this workbook is this entire file or um, this project we're working on. And the workbook also consists of worksheets. So we have two worksheets. Sometimes we'll hear someone call them tabs. So we're going to have two worksheets or tabs on the bottom, budget and grades. And so we're going to start off with the budget worksheets. Also, I might refer to different cells. A cell is just one of these little pieces in the worksheet. And if I want to get into a particular cell, I would reference these columns and rows. Also, you will see the letters and numbers. So the letters indicate the columns, and then the numbers indicate the rows. So if I said, let's go ahead and get started and put your cursor in A1, you would find where A meets 1 and put it in A1. Okay, and another example, if I said go to H2, you would go H2, put your cursor there. All right, so I want to make this a little bigger. Hopefully you can see it on your end. And here we go. So let's get started on making a simple budget. All right, you know, that B word, don't you hate that B word? But we all need it in our lives, ain't that right? So for this particular budget, if you wanted to pause right now and kind of copy what I've done on your end, please do so at this time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our gross income. Okay, so I just put an example of $30,000. Okay, then under that we have our expenses. So for our example, we have rent, which is 800, our gas and car, which is 120, food 400, utilities 120, cable and internet 50. Now again, we can change all of these, but for our example, I put these. So these might be high, low, depending on your situation. So for our example, these are the numbers for each of those expenses for our monthly expenses. Okay, so this is our annual money that we have or that we're bringing in, and this is our monthly expenses. Okay, so the first thing I want to do if I'm trying to budget and see how much money I have left to do other things is I need to first see how much just my automatic every month, these are the things I need to pay. How much would I be paying for those each month? And so that's our monthly total. So to get our monthly total, we could just hand calculate and add these on a calculator, or we can put Excel to work. All right. So we're going to get started with the first simple formula in Excel. So put your cursor in C12. All right. And to get started with any formulas that are um, either adding something or subtracting something or taking an average of something, and you just want to do that very quickly, we always start off with typing the equal signs on the keyboard. So I'm going to type in equal. And because I want to know the total of all my expenses for the month, I want to sum all of those. All right. So I want to add them up, but Excel needs the official term for its program, and that is sum. So I can do sum. And then if I want to sum multiple things, I need to open up a parentheses like that. So again, you can see it on my screen, equals sum, parentheses, and now Excel wants to know, well, what are you summing? So the nice part about this is I could either type in each of these cells, so I could type in C6, C7, all the way to C10, or I can just drag all the things that I want to sum up. So I'm going to do that. And notice when I drag and hold and click down and hold it, or we like to call that click, hold, and drag. We like to chat it down from the top to the bottom. It puts the formula automatically for you. Okay, so then you can see it's the sum of C6 to C10, C6 to C10. All right, so I'm going to close this with the closing parentheses and just simply hit enter on the keyboard. And just like that, I quickly found out how much what are my expenses for the month. So for my monthly expenses, I automatically have to pay 1,490. All right. And so then if I wanted to see how much I need to pay for the year, we'll do another formula. Okay. Again, when we're doing a simple formula, you just want to type in equals. And now if I know what I'm paying each month, and I want to know how much I'm going to pay for the entire year, I'm going to take that monthly total and I want to multiply it by 12. So what you can do is you can take the monthly total, and instead of just typing 1490, let's actually just use that cell. Okay, so we're just referencing that cell. So that's another term you might hear. If any trainings you might either look up online, you might hear reference. So we're going to reference this cell by clicking on it. And again, once we click on a cell, it's going to put the location of that cell there. And now because I want to know for the year, I want to do a multiplication in my formula. So I can do that by using the little asterisk sign, and that tells Excel to multiply. And then I can actually type in 12. All right. And so what this is doing is taking your monthly, whatever that is in that cell, and multiplying it by 12. Another reason why we don't want to just type in 1,490 here, because what if we change some of these, which will then change that. So we then also want to change this. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you when I hit enter. Now I can see that for my year, I'm going to have to pay $17,880 for the year. That's because I pay that for the month and multiply that by 12. All right. So the reason why referencing cells is important, because say we wanted to add giving, because we want to do that every month. And look, I forgot clothing. Sometimes we need to buy some clothes. And so we might as well budget that at least a little bit per month. So then we can insert those in here. And because we use reference cells, these will change automatically. All right, so I'm going to show you, but let me allow you to pause to practice those formulas on your end for the monthly and for the yearly. Now that you unpause, let's go ahead and insert these two. So let me show you how to insert something in Excel. So if I want to insert it, giving, let's do the first one, giving. I want to put that anywhere in here, okay? The rule for inserting rows is if I click on a row, and so I have to click the right button on my mouse to get all these options, okay? If I were to click the left button, it won't give me those options on my mouse. So I have to click the right button on my mouse and I'll get all these little pop-ups. And so then I want to insert, okay? And because I clicked on that one, it dropped everything down below and it gave me a blank row. So then I can just put giving here because I want to do some kind of giving each month. And because I want to give each month, let's say we're going to just give, we'll just keep it simple and we'll do $50 a month. Okay. Now, once I hit 50, boom, look at that. Isn't that amazing? So now you don't have to redo anything because you set it up correctly. So now that you insert giving, you can then see how it quickly adjusts your monthly total here and your yearly total here. All right. So let's practice one more time. Let's do clothing, and you can put it anywhere in here you want. So I'm just going to put it right here, right click, insert, then type clothing. Right, and hit enter, or you can just move the arrow key over. And then whatever you think you want to spend per month in clothing, you would put it here. So let's go ahead and keep that. Let's do that a little lower. Let's do 25 just for today's training. So 25. And once I do 25 and either enter or move my arrow key up or down, left or right, boom, look at that. See, so this is why doing a budget on Excel is really nice because say you want to change something or tweak something to your expenses, everything will be done automatically. And you can see, okay, then I need to take away something from here or I can add something from here. So these are just all the expenses that we know are going to occur each month. And so now we want to know like, okay, well, how much extra do I have for fun? Like for entertainment, for going out, for doing whatever you want that doesn't involve those monthly expenses that happen every month, right? So we can also do that over here. So I indicated it by yellow, what's our excess income or extra income for the entire year? And then how do I know how much I will have each monthly excess income, okay? So very similar to these formulas. We're going to put our cursor in here. We're going to do a formula. So what do we need to start off with? If you said equal sign, give yourself a round of applause. Good job, equal sign. And now we want to then take away what we're spending for the year from our gross income. Okay, and so because we don't want to type in the exact numbers, we want to use our reference cells. So we're going to click our gross income, and then we are going to subtract, or on our keyboard, click that minus key, and then we're going to subtract what our expenses for the year are. And so we would click that. Anytime you're done with the formula, hit enter. And so that is what we have left over once we take all of our yearly expenses from our income, and that's our excess income for the entire year. Okay, so you probably already guessed it. I already told you how to do a sum. So that's where you can add all of those, but we added multiple. Then we multiplied that by 12. Then we subtracted our total income and we took away our expenses. And so now if I want to know how much excess or extra income I have for each month, we need to then do one more formula. Start off with that equal sign. Good job, good job. And then we want to click this one. And if we want to know per month, we need to then divide that by 12. And so to divide in Excel, you can use the forward slash like that. So that little key there. And that is located to the left of the shift button, or if you have like a numeric keypad, it's right above the 8. And then we just do 12 and hit enter. And so that's how much we have extra each month to do other things that we did not account for in our expenses. And so just like that, guess what? You created a simple budget. So you heard budget and you're like, that is too complicated. I don't have time to do that. But now look at that. If you give yourself maybe about 15 minutes, you could do it. You could do this. Okay. So just to recap, what we did is we had our whatever money we're bringing in for the year, and then any of our expenses, we can list them out by each row. And then for all the expenses that we know we're paying every month, we want to sum those up and give it a separate monthly total. So then we did that with a formula. And anytime you want to add up multiple things, we want to use this formula equals sum. And then you just sum anything that you want. And notice what Excel does is it says whatever you're starting with, and then that little colon in the middle means anything that comes after that all the way to our ending cell 12. And so that's where the sum of the monthly comes in. And so now that we knew that's how much we pay our expenses each month, we want to know for the year. So we're going to multiply that by 12. And then we want to know, okay, well, what's my leftover money? We did another formula, which we subtracted our income, or excuse me, our expenses from our income. So that's why it says C2, what we start off with, minus what our expenses are, and there's our extra income. And then our last formula is dividing it by 12 because we wanted to know how much extra money we can do or have each month. All right, good job, parents and guardians. You have now learned how to create a budget in Excel. All right. All right, so the next part I want to show you is grades. Now, how many times have you been to um, some parent conference or open house, or now, probably some kind of Zoom Teams meeting, and you were given a piece of paper that told how your student is going to get their grade. And they always talked about, each part of their grade is a different weight or a different percentage. So we have an awesome program, Focus, that you probably are aware of, that does all that for you. However, sometimes you just want to know, like, how do they calculate that? I've always wanted to know how they calculated that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So on this next tab, or this worksheet, which is the grades option right here, you're going to see like a simple little outline of what a student may have. Okay, so I'll go over all the pieces so you understand what you're looking at. All right, so this is a little fake little progress report. Let's call it a progress report. And so if you wanted to, you can pause this and kind of copy those pieces that I have on your end, and then unpause it when you're ready for me to continue. All right, now that you have this on your end, let's talk about the pieces. So we have all of our subjects. Okay, and then all of our teachers. Yes, I had a little fun coming up with some teacher names. And then here's what our student earned for quarter one for each grade. And here's what our student earned for quarter two. Now, for training purposes, all right, the teacher and me, there's a blank there. That means we need to figure that out. So I'm gonna show you how to figure that out. And this is a reminder of the grading scale, 90 to 100 is an A, and so forth right here. Okay. So this student's teacher, science teacher, good old Nye, you can probably guess what that first name is. Here's the breakdown. So that teacher says, for classwork, I'm going to give the student 35%. For homework, 10%. For participation, 25%. And for test quizzes, 30%. And hopefully those add up to 100. So this is make sure they add up to 100. So I'm going to show you how to do that in Excel. You can also add them up on a calculator, obviously. But if you want to add up something, what you can do is you can click on one cell, and then on your keyboard, you can hold the control button and then click on other cells. So I'm going to click on this cell, I'm going to click on this cell, and then I'm going to click on this cell. Okay, so I've clicked on the four percentages, and I can let go of control. And what you'll notice is on your Excel sheet on the bottom, it should have some things that's automatically calculating for you. So look at that. So it's letting us know that there's four things we have highlighted, and the sum is 100. And then isn't that amazing? Excel is so smart. That's why I love it. I know I'm nerdy, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with it. So there we go. So we know that those four pieces are 100. So what that basically means, and because I even when I taught, some students and teach and parents always want to know, like, so what does that mean? So to make it simply put is, for each of these pieces, you're essentially going to earn 35 points out of 100 for each of those pieces. But you'll notice that there's multiple assignments. So the easiest way of doing this is we need to figure out the totals and then make that a percentage. And then once we make that a percentage, then we can then multiply that by the percentage of the entire grade to get how many of the 35 points technically we will get based on all those assignments. All right. So think of you're earning your entire grade of getting 35 points for classwork, 10 points for homework, 25 points for participation, 30 points for tests and quizzes. And so we need to figure out, well, how many of those 35 points we can get based on all of these assignments. Okay, and I'm going to show you. Really excited about doing this because, a lot of teachers do this particular method, but it's very rare that we actually see a breakdown of how to actually calculate it. All right, so here we go. For the classwork, I just put a bunch of this made up assignments. And so you'll notice at the top, there's points earned and there's points possible. Okay. And so to do the totals, remember earlier I told you if you wanted to add up something, you would use a formula starting off with the equal sign. If you said that, good job. And so we're going to do an equal sign. And if I wanted to add up multiple things, I showed you earlier that you could do sum. So we'll do sum again, sum. And then anytime you're adding more than one thing, you want to open up the parentheses, and then you can just click anything you want to add up. and then close those parentheses and hit enter. All right. And so now the sum of all of those, let's see, 4 assignments is 232 points. Well, how many points were possible? Okay. So then we need to do the same thing. But let me save you a little even more time. Instead of doing a formula again, you can just copy this formula to the right. Yes, it's that easy. So let me show you how to copy a formula. Go back to this cell, and you notice my little cursor is a white crosshair. But if I hover down to the right, or if I hover around it, it changes. So it changes to that. Notice you'll see that. And it also changes, if you go to the bottom right, to solid black without arrows. So see how there's arrows here, but there's solid black here. So once you get it to that little point, you would click, hold, and drag, like chat it out like we did earlier, but you would just go click, hold, and drag it 1 time to the right. So I'm gonna click, hold, and drag, and then let go, and now it's at 260. Now, you know me, I will probably want to make sure it's doing it right. So I wanna click in that cell, and look, when I click in that cell, the formula shows here. So then it says sum of H3 through H6. There's H3, H6. Look at that. Look at that. All right. And so now we need to know, well, what percent is that? What percent is that? So we need to do a percentage. And in order to do a percentage, we would do equal. And we would want to know the total points earned divided by the total points possible and hit enter. Okay. Now it's going to give us this weird decimal point. So what we can do is another feature I want to show you is click this, and we just want to show it as a percent. So we can show it as a percent. So we made 89% on all of our assignments. Okay. Now the tricky part is when teachers give different percentages of each of their pieces of their grade book, we're not getting the 89%. What that is saying is we're getting 89% of the 35% points possible for that classwork portion. So then we need to know, well, how many of those points essentially are we getting? Because if we did 100, if we got 100 out of everything, we would get the full 35 points here. And so to make it even simpler, if we got 100 on everything, we would get 35 points here, 10 points here, 25 points here, 30 points here, and then they would add up to 100. Then we know that would be an A. But we didn't get the full credit for some of these assignments. So then we need to know out of that 35%, well, how much are we actually getting for classwork? Okay. And so then we would just simply do another formula equals, and then we just multiply those two. So we just click that, multiply times that, hit enter. Okay, and again, we have that long percentage. So another trick is, so it does have percent this time, but then I can use these buttons here to make it a little cleaner. So that's letting you know, like, okay, I want to show how many digits. So then I want to get rid of all of those digits, but not just simply just throwing them out, but using Excel to round it. And so these help round it. So I can click this button here until it's nice and clean, until it shows no more decimals. And so out of the 35 points, we would get 31 points. All right. So there's how you figure out that one portion of your piece for your grade book. So then we can just repeat this 3 more times. Okay. So then I'm going to do this one. This one's a little simpler. So we only have 2 assignments. So we could, of course, add those up and put those numbers there. But let's have Excel do it, because what if you're trying to do this yourself and you want to insert, like I showed you earlier, other assignments? So then this formula will add whatever you insert there. So equals sum, open up parentheses, take those two cells, excuse me, and then close it. All right, so 85 points. So what's that? How do I do that here without having to type that formula again? You just want to drag it, click, hold, and drag. Look at that, boom. And so then I want to take find a percent here. So that again, that's equals points earned divided by points possible. Boom. All right, and so then I can then make that a percent here. And then if it's not cleaning it up, you would do this little button. All right. Sorry, there you go. And make that a percent. So you only earn 77 points for that piece there. And so out of the 10, how many would that be? So we have to multiply those two. All right, and then we can, again, clean it up by clicking that button there. Or if it doesn't bother you, that's fine. It'll still do it. And so notice it rounded because it was 7.7, but it rounded to 8%. All right, so let's do this again 2 more times. We got this. So then we already know what that is. So what I would do is I would still equal sum just in case. Or if you know that that's the only thing they're going to get, you can also just click equals this, and then you can do equals this, or you could have typed it, whatever's easier. But then you still got to do the percent points possible over points, excuse me, points earned divided by points possible. So you would do that, divided by that, hit enter, and then multiply those two. And then that's a little cleaner. So I'll still do this twice. All right, and we have one more time. Equals sum, open up parentheses, close them up, copy that formula over, and then we have to do this formula equals points earned divided by points possible. And so we earned 75 points total, but how many of the 30 points are we going to get? So we just multiply those two. And once again, let's clean it up. All right, and so there we go. So for the classwork, our student got 31 points possible out of the 35, 8 out of the 10 for homework, 21 out of the 25 for participation, and 23 out of the 30 for test quizzes. And so what we would do is we would need to know what the sum is, so we can then equals the sum of those. We do the sum. And remember earlier I told you how to do multiple things, but instead of dragging, you would hold control. So click on that, hold control, and hold control. And once you have those 4 pieces, hit enter. And then what we could do is we can round it one more time. And once we round it, we have 83%. Look at our table, and our student earned a B. Just like that, you now know how to calculate your student's grade if they say each area has a different weight. So parents and guardians, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully this lets you get started on using Excel for either a budget or calculating grades. And I look forward to doing another session with you. Thank you again. Have a great day.